crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous.
Phases of the moon.
Today we're going to investigate some of the common misconceptions about the moon and why it changes shape. Here are some students and what they think happens when the moon comes out.
The moon only comes out at night.
The Earth shines a shadow on the moon and makes it dark.
The moon goes around the sun.
The moon looks different depending on where you are on Earth.
The moon stays still in the sky.
The moon gets closer to Earth along the horizon.
Let's investigate how the moon moves in the sky to see if we were right about why it changes shape. First, we know that the Earth goes around the sun, but the moon also goes around the Earth. In this video, we can see that while the Earth is orbiting the sun, the moon also orbits the Earth. See what you can notice about the light and dark sides of the moon. What did you notice?
The moon was light in some places and dark in others.
Sometimes I could see all of the moon and sometimes it was completely black.
So we know that as the moon moves around the Earth and the sun, the amount of light and dark on the moon's surface changes. The moon is lit by the light of the sun, so the part of the moon that is light is the part that is facing the sun. When the sun is to the side of the moon, we see half of the moon lit up. This is called a quarter moon. When the sun is lighting up the side of the moon that faces away from the Earth, we can see no light at all. The moon looks completely dark from Earth, and this is called a new moon. When the sun makes its way back around, we see half of the moon again, another quarter moon. Finally, when the sun is lighting up the side of the moon that faces towards the Earth, we see it completely lit. This is called a full moon. Let's look at it another way. In this video, we can see where the sunlight is coming from and how the moon is affected by the light. When the moon is getting darker, we call this a process called a waning moon, and when the moon is getting lighter, we call this a waxing moon. An eclipse occurs when the moon, Earth, and sun all line up in a row. Here we can see a solar eclipse happening when the moon is directly in between the sun and the Earth. This does not happen every time the moon passes in front of the Earth because the moon's orbit does not always line up with the Earth and the sun. The moon is directly in between the sun and the Earth and blocks out a portion of the sun's light. A lunar eclipse happens when the Earth is between the sun and the moon. This happens when the moon is in position for a full moon and the Earth casts a shadow over the whole face of the moon. A solar eclipse lasts just a few minutes because the moon is tiny in comparison to the size of the sun, and a lunar eclipse can last for up to a few hours. The moon has many other effects on the Earth. When the moon is in the new moon or full moon position, it has the strongest gravity pull on the Earth as it combines with the gravity of the sun. This causes the ocean's high tides as the strong gravity pulls the ocean. The low tides happen when the moon is in a quarter phase as the gravity of the moon and the sun are distributed and the oceans are not being pulled in just one direction. So what are some things you learned about the moon?
The moon gives us the ocean tides.
An eclipse only happens when the moon, Earth, and sun are all lined up.
When the moon is waning, less sunlight is shining on it and it will soon be completely dark.
The moon is always in the sky, we just can't always see it in the daytime.
A new moon has no sunlight shining on the part we can see.
And the moon doesn't stay still, it goes around the Earth.
You'll see the full moon light up the night.
Phases of the moon.
New moon, waxing, crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous.
Phases of the moon.
Full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, waning crescent.
Phases of the moon.
New moon, waxing, crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous.
Phases of the moon.
Full moon, waning gibbous, last last quarter winding crescent.